Hey guys, and welcome back to Trials and Tribulations. In the last part, Godot said stupid stuff. That was expected. Anyway, we're continuing. That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. Wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot was the murderer. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You were the murderer of a Miss Elise Donham, also known as Misty Fey. It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. Oh, are you serious? I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Wright. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Oh, get it? It's funny because it rhymed. Anyway. Sorry. Anyway. Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If they wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area? Yes, why didn't they take out just that area? Ah, could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood landed, so he had to remove the whole area.
Objection!
Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. They would have been able to see fine. It seems that once again, this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Just like any trial you do in this game. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot? Oh, hi. Wait just a minute. Or just wait a minute, whatever. Maya! What is it, witness? Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the Inner Temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Maya. You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but I'm... Eek! After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't... I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. Maya, do you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost? If that's the case, then I got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Huh. Nicely done, Wright. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the Inner Temple after the murder. Yeah, whatever. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But that little girl was there... That little girl? You have never, ever called Pearl's little girl. Or, even less so, that little girl. Never mind. Jeez. That little girl. Just say... That's so random. That's out of character. I'm sorry. Pearlie was also struck... struck. Pearlie was also stuck on the Inner Temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. How do you know this? You were unconscious the whole time. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearl Fay.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on! Pearly would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be.
Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godot! Let's just move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright? Oh, yeah, because everything about this trial has been totally usual. Let's get this cross-examination started. Shut up, Godot. It was cool. Don't deny it. Alright. Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. Okay. How do you know? So where do you think Pearl slept that night?
In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place? It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya.
She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense.
Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Donim. Why did she channel? Whatever. I don't remember if that's ever answered, or if it already has been answered, I forgot. Anyway, the next morning she looked around but couldn't find anyone. She searched the entire inner temple side, end to end.
Well, you see, Pearly gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there weren't that many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times.
The inner temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room.
And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
There was a storage shack, too? Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack.
The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. Alright.
Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge?
What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl. All alone like that. Well, we know that she had at least one friend in the Sacred Cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock. She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls. What happened after the bridge was finally fixed?
That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time.
Yeah. So it was your first time in the inner temple side, Mr. Godot? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question? Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touché, Mr. Wright. I like that. That's pretty cool. Oh, well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godot? This is pretty funny. I don't know, it's just a funny situation, you know. Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. That's not a good response. That's not the correct response to this question. I hate you so much, Godot. I can't wait till this game is over and never have to deal with your stupid ass again. Okay. Whew. Hot nights and hot coffee, that's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So we had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh? Huh. You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. He's only got one piece of armor. I don't think you need to look for cracks in the one piece of armor. Just aim for his unarmored body. God. I'm sorry. God. This trial is breaking me. I've been doing this game for too long. Okay. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Very well. Please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the inner temple side, right?
Yes, then Mr. Godot... He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up.
He cheered her up?
That's what Pearlie said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Cut it out. You're making me blush. No, you're not. This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves. More ways than one. What? Beginning to get on my nerves? Ooh, he's been on them for a long time. The truth is, there aren't that many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way, Godot style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way, judge style. Shut up. Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. Oh my god. Godot's investigation. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Wright. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Oh, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there, you headed for the prep room? Wait a sec. What did Godot say just now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. No, not a proverbial weak spot, an actual weak spot. There is only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Donham. Okay, so... Next morning, she looked around, couldn't find anyone. Next day... for the first time. Wait a minute. I got it.
Objection!
You'll see where I'm going. Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Ridge and went to the inner temple was long before the murder took place.
Why do you say that?
Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll?
But... Mr. Godot's right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother.
Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? It smells like rotting gravy that's like 3 days old. It would not still smell good. The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy.
Gravy? But why gravy, Nick?
Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Fey. Wha-boom! Oh.
But wait a minute, Nick.
Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there.
Ah, that. It's the mark of the master, correct?
Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark...
Then you could guess it was a picture of Misty Fey was on there. True, but Mr. Godot described what it was under... Wait. True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Oh.
Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place. I'm so smart. Can I ask you just one little thing, Wright? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. that I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed.
That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene.
Of course, Mr. Godot... Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Mr. Godot knew about the plan.
Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of that plan?
Yeah?
Another person, okay. Well, alright, let's see. Oh, well... okay, so there was... The people that were involved were Dahlia, Morgan, I guess Iris. We're assuming, pretty much Godot, Pearl, Maya. Or, well, Maya wasn't really involved. I guess if anybody else knew, it would have to be Mia. Didn't she say something about knowing earlier? I'll try Mia. Okay, yeah. Mr. Wright, at this stage of the game, a mere guess is simply unacceptable. Gulp. So in the end, you were just bluffing, huh? Ow! Well, don't expect any sympathy cards from me. What? Okay. But there's only one way he could have known about the crime. Mr. Wright, I'll give you just one more chance. Of course, Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh? Well, what did you say? Yeah. Is it really possible that another person... Oh, well, another... Oh, pff. Oh, okay, so another... You're asking me for another person, and then you're gonna... Okay, let me see. Alright, Oh, pff, wow. Okay, orders from Mogan Fay. From Morgan Freeman, anyway. Open once before. The burnt letter. Jeez. I'm sure someone's yelling at me. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future. And these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yes. The killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple. Okay, so, back up. We're assuming Godot killed Elise Donim, quote-unquote, to protect Maya. If he wanted to protect Maya, why didn't he just destroy these instructions so that Dahlia would have never been channeled, period? That's not a logical fallacy, is it? I'm pretty sure it's not. Go ahead and comment if it is, but I'm fairly certain that's not exactly a stupid thing to ask. But anyway. And you're saying this crafty killer is me? You bet I am. You bet! But you just said that the instructions were hidden.
That's right. Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden.
If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes? And when was that? During a visit.
A visit?
Morgan Fay told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. Sorry. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center! Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot. ... Exclamation point! Smack, smack, smack! Order, order, order! Mr. Godot, you're under fire again! Well, he's been under fire this whole time, but anyway. This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you! You were the only one who could have acquired this information from the murder! Jeez, that was fast. Stop drinking your coffee and just answer. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. No, they drink it because, one, it either tastes good to them, or it wakes them up. You drink it because you're psychotic. I hate you, Godot. I hate you so much. Anyway. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped. on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl was nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. Oh, shut up, you are. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. Unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? And his reason? Cliffhanger.